I have stories to tell about my life in Darling, with the community of Darling for the last 22 years, with the young people, the children, and how their excitement of life is catching. When you take them to the sea for the first time, when you take them to the SPCA for the first time to meet the dogs and the cats, and they're scared, and the dogs and the cats are scared, but then they suddenly find each other. Sorting out everything after 40 years of performing 80 to 100 characters means there are so many things lying in the wardrobe and in the props room. And so that is basically the background to my show. I have boxes on stage, and out of those boxes certain things come. Some of the things that I said I brought to share with you, because you might remember P.W. Botha, and I said, well, I've got to do him. I mean, he's my bread and butter. And then, of course, I would say the next president that I enjoyed doing hugely, besides Nelson Mandela, was difficult to do because I always laughed first, was Jacob Zuma. But then again, I do remind the audience that we are in a different world, where there's a new generation of South Africans, millennials, some of whom seem to have had an irony bypass, who said to me, I can't do Zuma because I'm white. I said, no, I'm a performer, that's my job. I have to do characters, male, female, and convertible, black, white, yellow, brown. No, they said it's politically incorrect. Okay. Listen, I've been against that before in my life when the National Party, apartheid government said, you can't do this, can't do that. So you have to reinvent. And so in the show, I have P.W. Botha doing his impersonation of Jacob Zuma. I live in Darling, but being in the theatre, we call each other Darling. It's a sort of a punctuation of hello, darling. But then again, when you reach a certain age, you forget people's names. And really, truly, I have this terrible problem seeing people I know very well, and really, truly, I cannot remember their names. So when in doubt, say darling. And then the one sketch I have is it's a new character, and I really love this new character. He's my age, or let me say I'm his age, 72, and he's packing up his house because that's where the boxes are there, because he's moving to a smaller place, which is a retirement home. And he's got his old dog, Smelly. And that first they said, you can't bring your pet. And he says, he's not my pet, he's my best friend. So, and he's just talking about this whole process of sorting out his life, scared of throwing away things that are precious to him, and realizing that memories can't be stolen, but they can be mislaid. And then he does say he's got to stop saying darling, because he said it's also a habit. And he was at the supermarket the week before, and the lady packed up everything in a plastic bag and cashed up and gave him the change. And he said, thank you, darling. And she said, what? And he said, what? She said, well, what did you call me? He said, oh, I said, thank you, darling. She said, I'm not your darling. Don't call me darling. That's sexual harassment. Is it? It could be. Humor is I call it a weapon of mass distraction. People don't expect to remember what they laughed at. And I really hope that once they've left my show, they will say, oh my goodness, we laughed at that. We don't even want to think about that. But now that we've laughed at it, it doesn't feel so frightening. It's still lethal, but at least we've confronted it. We know what it is. I have an instinctive barometer on where to take something, how far to go with something. And I do cross lines, and I hope I offend everybody, but not all the time, because it's too exhausting. I cannot be politically correct because I'm allergic to the whole concept of political correctness. I mean, politics cannot be correct purely because it's politics. And then for 50 years of my life, apartheid was politically correct. So I wear my political incorrectness as a badge of victory. To ask me if I have a favorite character is like to say to a parent, who's your favorite child? I suppose my most challenging character is Evita Peçonha, just because she's not just tied down to the stage. She is in places that I've not been. People have said to me, oh, we saw Tannie Vita in Bloemfontein last year. Well, she hasn't been in Bloemfontein. So she lives out there, a legend in her own lunchtime. And Nelson Mandela, eventually I found the voice. I said it's a cross between Donald Duck and a Hardy Duck. Where? But I really enjoy doing the people I've created, the characters. I mean, yes, there's Evita, but there's Bambi Kellerman, her sister, who's just great and understands satire and understands irony, making her a very difficult and dangerous character to play with. Mrs. Peterson from the Cape Flats, who I also do in my show now. She's now moved to the Boer Kaap, and there's tear gas in her eyes because there's tear gas happening in the Boer Kaap. You know, it's difficult to know what the audition piece will be to pass the audition and become a character. You know, cartoons are very important, and I'm totally slavishly addicted to Zapiro. I think he is just the most extraordinary psychiatrist, psychologist. And when I see what he has created and focused on when he came with the shower thing for Zuma, which was just so remarkable. And then I also know that people are starting to laugh at the cartoon. Then I will take that cartoon and try and feed some reality into the character, a third dimension of humanity. Always humanity. You know, people say you can't make Hitler human. You can, you must, and so dangerous. I mean, F.W. de Klerk was never a successful character for me. And he actually said to me, "Peter, are you going to do me on stage one day?" I said, "Oh, Mr. de Klerk, you're too good." And some characters I don't want to do. I didn't want to do Ter Blanche. I just didn't like him or respect anything in him, or even find something that made me angry enough about him. Malema's the same. He's a one-line gag. But who knows, when he becomes the president, I will definitely do him, because it'll be a criminal offense and they will want to kill me. So they'll have to catch me first. Cyril I'm waiting for him to do something that earns him a part in my chorus line. Evita has a lot to say about Cyril Ramaphosa because she knows him well, and her interview with him is on the YouTube. And she's got, of course, her reality show, Evita's Free Speech. We're now on episode 153. We've been doing it for 153 weeks. And quite a few people have reacted to the fact that they have the history of the last 2 years, 3 to 4 minute bites with Tani, always in a different outfit and different jewelry. And you know, and with her way of looking at the world, not a political way, not even a logical way, but she's a designer Democrat. You know, her racism is always there like a sort of a perfume. She has no sense of humor and no sense of irony, which means that when people laugh at her, she doesn't know why. She thinks, Satan does buy me and my satirical cluster on the stage of the Fugard studio, Fugard Theatre in Cape Town, from the 7th to the 25th of August, Tuesday to Saturday at 8 o'clock, and on a Saturday it's at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, for those of us who don't like driving at night because we can't see properly. And yeah, why should you come? Well, let me tell you something. If you want to sit at home and watch things that really frighten you, because it will, by all means do that, but you can also record it and see it when you come back from the theatre. But I can promise you something live will happen between the times, between 8 o'clock and 9:30 on the times that you come to see me at the Fugard in the next 3 weeks, because I will share things with you which will make you feel confident. And I think that's what we need now. And humor is a great, great way to laugh at your fear, to laugh at the people who have no sense of humor, and to celebrate the fact that there is light at the end of the tunnel. Just remember one important thing: the tunnel is still curved.